morning to you. Thank you so very much, everyone, for always making that very crucial decision to join us here every other morning, 7 days of the week on Global Morning. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe, and shortly you'll meet my co-hosts on the program, as always, this morning. But again, it's a delight to be here, knowing that it promises to be an extended period of having a conversation or conversations about big stories that are unfolding in our very lifetime in Nigeria right now. One of them, perhaps the most recent, and who knows, maybe the biggest even, is the fact that the president has now given his assent to the electoral bill, which now officially makes it an act. And by the way, yesterday, Global Television broke that news for you. And of course, it was a big item on our news into the night. But the real point now is we had seen so much of drama trailing these very, very pivotal and radical events in our country. Remember that the Electoral Act itself has been a long time coming. By the time it was going to be signed, or ought to have been signed sometime in 2019, the former president, now deceased, Muhammadu Buhari, had talked about how that it was too close to the election. And for many people, as controversial as that was at the time, thought it was, really too close, and as such could cause some upsets in not just the polity, but in the electoral process altogether. Therefore, by 2022, it had now been passed. But again, like you have with everything else in this world, nothing is cast in concrete. Therefore, there was need to take a second look at that particular piece of extant legislation to be sure that it aligns with where we are today in terms of the reality with our politics, our politicking, and our elections. So, long and short of the story is, following the debates back and forth at both chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives, the president finally gave his nod to the bill yesterday, which now formally makes it an act. And the president made a strong case for giving his assent to the bill, but it will appear that the dust has not settled, at least not completely. That's just one leg of what we're discussing this morning. We'll also look at a health issue of not just public interest, but of so much of significance for you as we continue to discuss big stories that are breaking in our country. We're taking a break, and when we return, it will be time to begin to put this whole conversation in front of you, one block at a time. Please do stay with us. All right, so we talk about a lot of health issues. We talk about malaria today, fever tomorrow, but of course, cancer is also big. Not too long ago, just a couple of days ago, it was International Cancer Day, and different cancers were talked about. The theme for this year, we talked about how that cancer is ravaging the world. It's not just one part of the world, not just one continent, not just a bunch of countries. And we're seeing people who some say by providence have survived, been able to beat cancer, so to say, but it was a rigorous, tumultuous journey for them. And it's heartwarming, it's inspiring, it gives hope how that they are able to share their stories at the end of the day. However, there are several other health concerns that we also continue to highlight. And one of them for us on the program this morning is Lassa fever. If you just Google Lassa fever, you'll be shocked at the body of information you find, whether in Nigeria, somewhere else in Africa, or even away from our continent. But back at home, just when you think Lassa fever is becoming a thing of the past, you realize that we are a bit far away from putting it all behind us. As it stands today, just a few days ago, there was some news that a couple of persons, doctors for that matter, had been infected. And then, of course, we also are not ignorant of those who have died from it. So it's part of the conversation we're having this morning. We'll be joined by a public health researcher to help us understand what the dynamics are, where we stand today, and where we ought to be heading, plus the amount of work required to make all of that happen. And again, it's very timely to mention that the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, that's the NCDC, as well as other ancillary health agencies of both the federal and state governments, are working in this direction to ensure that the problem doesn't overwhelm not just the health sector, but the country as a whole. I told you at the top of the program this morning that shortly you would meet my co-host this morning, and indeed, my co-host is here. Can we all give a rousing welcome to Jumai Manson?
Oh, all of these accolades. You know,
I wanted to go further, but I realized that this time is paid for.
Yes, the time is paid for.
Right.
Good morning, Uya.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Well.
And to all of you out there, it's great to have you on the program. Good morning, and it's an exciting time. And I've just listened to you. I've just sat back and listened to what you said about Lassa fever.
Right.
It's a very big concern. It's a very major issue now with the deaths ongoing. So far, it's about 32 deaths now, and about 115 persons or 16 persons or so have been infected. It's just unfortunate that this has lingered for too long, and there's a specific rodent that causes this sort of disease.
The long-mouthed
with various
spikes all over the body.
All over the body. And yet, I think hygiene right now is key. We need to create an awareness on hygiene. Individuals who, you know, for people that love bushmeat, the Edo people that love bushmeat, you have to
right. Now, you remind me of Ebola, the bushmeat thing.
Exactly. But, you know, these rodents actually peck on these things, especially the individuals that actually spread food crops on the floor to dry. Like the doctor that came on Health Guide, I'm sorry.
Weren't.
Oh my goodness. You know, she came on Health Guide. In fact, on Health Guide, she spoke about it and said, please, for individuals who actually, will I say, dry their food as a means of preservation.
Cereal, gari, what have you, yes.
Please, you have to stop.
Melon.
Exactly, because these rodents can actually pee on them, urinate on them, and their saliva and something, and actually cause Lassa fever, which is really detrimental to one's health. So we have to really take precautionary measures. It's very important. We cannot stop talking about it. It has caused deaths, series of deaths, but what can you do? The marketplace is an open place, and there are rodents all over the place. The way you actually cover your food, cover your crops that you sell, goes a long way in trying to help us. Now, someone called me and said, Madam, I have to stop eating in public now because he was scared.
You're not so sure.
You're not so sure what's going on. I've seen clips on social media, and you see rodents on bakery, like on their breads and all of that. It's scary. You don't know what has perched. So one has, in fact, restaurants, bakeries, food outlets have to really take precautionary measures when it comes to this issue of Lassa fever. And of course, my favorite people, the suya people. You don't know how they clean their suya grill and all of that. They really need to take precautionary measures when you're done for the day. The way you cover that so that rodents won't peck on it or something is very important, so that we'll all be safe and secured. Precautionary measures is key.
It is key. And just so we're clear, for context as well as perspective, Jumai mentioned a couple of numbers a while ago, people whose lives, who have paid the supreme price, as they say, and health experts who have been infected. Of course, they've been exposed, they are vulnerable by default and all of that. These are not just numbers. These are not just statistics. They are human beings, real people, people's parents, people's breadwinners, people's children, siblings, community people, and all of that, which means that this is not just going to be an issue we are leaving all together in front of health workers, in front of medical experts. It is now on all of us. All right, we are now responsible for all of this. Jumai mentioned something that came very close home came close to home for me, which is the issue of bread. Right? Yes, I have struggled to stop eating bread altogether the whole time, moved to wheat one time, but the idea is to cut off altogether from anything called bread. Speaking for myself. Now here's the thing. I'm adding age, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
But quite frankly, Joma, you see, there's this mutual friend of ours that came from the UK one time. He said when he got to England, the first job he got for quite an extensive period was at a bakery.
Yes.
That gave him an insight how that the process of making bread or baking bread is so sensitive that
yes, it is.
you can't let your guard down.
No, you cannot.
You can't leave anything to chance. You don't even do quality control is somewhere far down the ladder. It is quality assurance first.
Yes.
Every step of the process. That's in Oyibo land. But in Nigeria, do we put in that amount of care? Do we do that painstaking work? It's very important. You know, one time growing up, somebody said, look, there are bakeries where, that was before NAFDAC came on full string, you know, and really, wielding the sledgehammer and all of that.
Hands on deck.
Right. That then you would find people using their bare foot or bare feet, all right, to mash, exactly, to do their mixing.
Hey.
Real time in this country. And then the issue of Bromate came up, bromate free bread, blah blah blah. Even at that time, there were still bakeries that were using bromate, at least in some measure, in some quantity. But we're trying to say all of this to say that when you talk about public health concern, the elements are very numerous.
Sensitive way.
Exactly. So at some point, it's as if even the finest people in the health space are overwhelmed. They're at a crossroads as to how these illnesses, these infections just keep evolving. New ones are springing up every day. And for us at this point in time, Lassa fever is big. And as such, you talked about hygiene a while ago.
Very important.
You can't outsource this responsibility.
No,
you must take personal responsibility for your own hygiene.
Very important. And I think sometimes we take that for granted. And it's not just when it comes to these outlets. You know, I don't know about you, but in Lagos, you know, my parents are in Lagos, and then there's this Saturday's sanitation that is taken very seriously. When I was in the university, by the way, we came home for holiday, my sisters and I. So I think I didn't remember.
Right.
So I just told the gate, okay, open the gates. I want to go outside and get bread. And the street was a bit quiet.
Apparently, this one is Saturday.
On a Saturday, I was almost arrested. In the sanitation guys, they came out. I said, "Where are you going?" I said, "We just want to go down the road." My sister, they're like, "Come into the bus. You guys, you're taking us where?" We had to run away. It was something that was very serious back then. You know, public health, and sanitation, where you have to clean your sewage, you have to ensure
clear your water channels.
Very important. These things, you might think it's just for the benefit of keeping the state clean, but it reduces rodents and all of that.
Right.
So I think that should be brought back. Like on a Saturday, everyone in states, it doesn't necessarily have to be on a Saturday. Sometimes in the market, I think it's on Thursday or so.
Right.
But I think all of these things have to come back. You know, that it might not wipe it away completely, but at least it will reduce it. 130, like the number's 32, it's a lot. You might think that it's 32 compared to the population that we are in Nigeria, but that's a lot. Those are lives that have just gone because of this particular disease, Lassa fever. And I think individuals have to understand the rate, the detriment at which this has caused. It is dangerous, and we have to take personal hygiene very seriously.
We have to, quite frankly. We don't have a choice. And talking about sanitation, Lagos has always been on the forefront.
Oh, yes.
In fact, recently, it will appear they are even doubling down, becoming more vehement with that exercise. And we hope other states will follow, not just because the governor or those at the helms want to prove a point or score a political point, but because you understand that it is pivotal, it is fundamental as far as public health issues are concerned. More so, I mean, I grew up, I've been here long enough to know there were times you would be required to deseal your gutters and things like that. There were officers, some of them in uniform, others not in uniform, who would go around town between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Yes.
Those 3 hours were crazy. You just had to be at home. In fact, it was better you locked yourself in, doing nothing, than to be seen moving around even within your neighborhood. Because the idea was we are spending these 3 hours to deseal.
Yes.
There are some states what they do is Monday mornings between 7 and 10, you don't open shops, especially in highly commercial areas. Because the idea is shut your shops, clean the environment.
Very important.
We don't want to come back here sometime down the line in the day and realize that
you pay a fine.
Exactly. So by the time you pay those fines once, twice, thrice, of course, as they say, body will tell you.
Yes, exactly. And then one more thing, talking about personal hygiene.
Right.
Aside that, when you go to, I visited a state at one point in my life, and I was so shocked when I saw heaps of dirt on the roadside.
Welcoming you.
Welcoming me. I was like, what is this? And then the thing is, I think a lot has to be done in that area,
right,
where there are heaps of dirt on, because these are where these rodents actually feast on, and they're happily at night. You'll be surprised the sort of, you know, creepy and stuff that are there. So I think that needs to be taken into cognizance. Heaps of dirt on the road. I think we need to find a better measure of disposing dirt to at least to curb this issue of Lassa fever. It's not just it's not all about food alone.
Right.
What actually causes these rodents to come up, spring up, and all of that? When there are heaps of dirt, when there are food exposed, and all of that. So a lot has to be done in that particular aspect, and of course, precautionary measures. We can never be too certain or never be too. You know, we just have to be alert when it comes to issues like this. It's very important that we take precautionary measures. It's really serious.
I totally agree. Well, what more can we say? Like we mentioned already, this is a big conversation for us this morning. We'll be joined by a public health researcher to help us understand, first of all, the factors responsible, beyond just talking about a particular, if you like, variant of rats. What exactly is this rat called, both botanically, I mean, in the medical field and in the colloquial parlance? And then, of course, what are the symptoms? If somebody has malaria, for example, there are basic symptoms. What are the symptoms of someone who probably has been exposed or infected? We need to know that. And then we also need to now talk about manifestations, talk about preventive measures, talk about what you can do if you think you are manifesting those symptoms, especially for a country where, sadly so, we're not big on the culture of seeing our doctors as often as we should. Self-medicating, yes. Of course, we also mentioned that in the course of the week. So we'll talk about all of this in the course of the show this morning. In the meantime, let's now join Ramsey Enoch Agbo as we bring you Inspirational.
Well, my name is Ramsey Enoch, and it's good to have you join us today on Heart to Heart Inspirationals. And let's get you inspired, because we value you. You are very important. You mean so much to this generation. Do you know why? Because if anything happens to you on this journey of destiny, it means something has gone wrong with a generation, because you are a potential destiny helper. But then, what step are you taking? All right? Where are you? What are you doing? My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Small steps still move forward. We love big breakthrough. A lot of people want to be big men overnight. They just wake up overnight and they want to be big men, not knowing what it takes to be a big man, to be a big woman. Breakthroughs are things that we are supposed to enjoy, but then, does it just fall from heaven? No. One thing we need to understand is that there are things we need to do to really be successful in life. How much work are you putting into yourself? We need to know that life has so much for us. The truth is this: we love big breakthrough, yeah, that's true, but we underestimate small obedience. Small obedience. And that's the reason you see a lot of people make resolutions and they don't keep to it. You see a lot of people do their to-do list for the day and they are not keeping it. Discipline and obedience to small things. You know, little foxes that destroy the vine. You may think those things are small, they don't matter. But then it makes you accelerate. It makes you move forward in life. We celebrate overnight success, but ignore daily discipline. How many people are disciplined today? Even CEOs, they are not disciplined today. A lot of people are not disciplined today. Business owners are not disciplined today. A lot of people have eaten their capitals. Yes, a lot of people. I know of people who ate their capitals. Some even went into debt. These are people that were making millions. I know. I'm not talking abstract. These are people that I know. Where are they today? What happened? Discipline. I've even walked to someone before to say, hey, come on. Do you know what? I know it's your business. I know it's your company. I know you are in charge. But then, instead of just putting your hand into the business money and taking out of it every day, place yourself on salary. Be a salary earner. Let the business pay you. Oversee it. Let it pay you. You don't just wake up without discipline. Oh, you have a need. Bam. Accountant. Yes, sign this check. No. It's not done. Discipline is very important if you want to be successful in life, if you want to make progress in life. Discipline is very important, not just discipline alone. Obedience and discipline go hand in hand, all right? You need to be obedient, all right, and you need to be disciplined. Yet, I want to let you know that nothing great happens suddenly. It happens consistently. Consistency is key. Whatever you're doing. Okay, let me give you an instance. Why do you think anywhere you go to look for a job, whatever you want to do, people look for someone who have experience? Because the more consistent you are on a particular thing, the more professional you become. But a lot of people, because of the issue of diversification, multiple sources of income and all of that, these theories have made a lot of people not to concentrate on a particular thing, not to be consistent in doing one thing and become a professional in it. A lot of people are slaving today because they were not consistent in what they were doing. A lot of people are not employable today because of inconsistency, disobedience, and indiscipline. Three major issues: indiscipline, disobedience, and inconsistency. These are thieves of time. Progress, like they said, is not always loud. It's not loud. Sometimes it looks like getting up again. Sometimes it looks like staying committed, all right, when nobody is clapping. A lot of people. That's why, initially I talked about on Heart to Heart, before I've talked about social media. Everybody want to be clapped for these days. Everybody is going on social media to live a fake life because they want to be clapped for. Of what profit is it? It's deception. You're deceiving yourself. I only pity people who copy this online so-called designed people who design themselves to be what they are not. People must not clap for you all the time. Don't wait for the clapping. Don't wait for people to clap for you. Sometimes when walking towards your successful days may not require people clapping for you, or sometimes growth feels boring because when it gets, people don't like work. That's the truth. A lot of people don't like work. So sometimes when you're walking, it looks boring. When you are striving to be successful in life, sometimes it looks boring because it's just like you're driving on the road and it's only you on that road. You're going, no car is coming from behind, no one is overtaking you. You're just going, only you. Sometimes it looks boring. But boring is where mastery is built. Do not despise small beginnings. Small steps compounds. Small habits accumulate, and of course, small disciplines create massive outcome. Just be consistent in it. Every expert you see today was once a beginner who refused to stop because so many things happen to stop them. When you're starting a business from the scratch, it is very difficult. If you are not consistent, disciplined, and obedient, you run away. Yes, of course. That period, that growing, that incubation period, if you're not careful, you run away. A lot of people have run away from businesses like that. Then when other people start doing it, and during that boring moment, that lonely moment, then when they come out successful, they say, well, why did I even leave that business? Because you were not consistent, disciplined, and of course obedient to the rules of the game. Success have a rule. It has a rule. Yes, you need to abide by the rules of the game before you become successful. Breakthrough don't just happen overnight. That kind of breakthrough that you're looking for doesn't last. Yes, a dribbling tap can fill a bucket over time. Don't you know? provided there is consistency, is dripping. Pim, pim. All right, let me give an instance. For instance, you get to the hospital and they give someone drip. All right, there is drip on a patient in the hospital. You see the way it drops. Pim, pim, pim. It will appear as if it's never going to get finished. But just give it a time. That drip will finish. Everything will finish into the patient's body. But it's dripping. It takes patience. All right. Not because the drops are big, but because they are consistent. It's dropping. Because of the consistency, whatever you're doing, please ensure to be consistent. If you really want to make it, if you really want to succeed, focus on the progress, not the perfection. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. Show up when motivation is low. You might not see. Let me tell you something. A lot of people don't celebrate upcomings. That period where you are struggling to be successful, when you're struggling to grow, a lot of people just look at the ignore. Some will not even take you serious. And that's why you need to be careful the kind of relationship you keep. I pity for people who push aside people that were with them when they were in their incubation period, when they were trying to become successful in life, the people that encourage them. Somebody may not even give you all the money, but the encouragement coming is enough. Consistency turns into ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Yes, by the time you're consistent, it turns ordinary action into extraordinary results. All right, keep going. Small steps taken daily will carry you further than big intentions that was never acted upon. A lot of people have big dreams, but they never acted on it. Where are they today? They are nowhere to be found. Well, you need to dream big and you need to act on the big dream, no matter how small, on a daily basis. Be consistent, be obedient, and of course, what else? Be faithful to whatever it is you're doing. Many thanks. I'll come on your way again. My name is Ramsey Enoch. Bye-bye for now.
All right, you're welcome back. And of course, hope you were well inspired by Inspirational with Ramsey Enoch Agbo. At about this time is the newspaper review segment, and we'll start with the first paper of the day. And the paper we'll be looking at is the Punch newspaper. Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, it says ICPC grills El Rufai after EFCC release. And that you will find on page 2. Next, on page 7, it says FCT poll. 3,345 beavers deployed, movement restricted. And next to that, on the Punch newspaper, which is on page 9, it says FX for business travel soars by 366% to $672 million, and that's from the business desk there. And then the Punch. The nameplate, close to the nameplate, says FG seals Plateau mine after gas leak kills 37. Very devastating news there. Unfortunately, that was very devastating. And the star story on the Punch newspaper, it says Electoral Act 2026, Tinubu defends assent, opposition raises hell. And of course, the writer there says PDP, LP raise red flags. Tinubu defiles protest as APC predicts credible poll. And below all of that, it says, widow, late Nigerian boxer's family clash over estate. And that read you will find on page 30 on the Punch. And on page 14, it says, 2 killed in Ondo, APC bloody Congress. And on page 14 on the Punch, it says, Ramadan length, Tinubu Atiku, governors preach unity. Yes, that is the way forward, unity and progress. And that's all the major headlines on the Punch newspaper. And we will be taking us to the next paper, which is the New Telegraph. Over to you now, Uyi.
All right, thank you, Juma. Let's look at the headline. Of course, 2 headlines right above the nameplate. Power generation, Nigeria faces more risks over unpaid 6 trillion naira invoices. The federal government suspends payments of 30% on profits to NNPC Limited. And then go below the name masts, top left corner with a picture of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. It reads, NSA demands adequate funds for enhanced national security. The writer tells us only 5.35 billion naira out of 22.4 billion naira budget released to ICPC in 2025. So much of a shortfall there. FCT poll, INEC accredits 89 observers, 72 media organizations. Urges CFCC, ICPC to go after vote traders. Delay in release of funds undermining justice reforms, AGF. It seems everybody's complaining about release of funds now. First was the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
That was supposed to get tens of billions.
Yes.
Instead got something in the neighborhood of 60 million. All right, and now we have heard the same thing from the office of the NSA. The Attorney General of the Federation is complaining about the same challenge. So where's the broken link? What are we missing? What's the gap?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do next to nothing without funding. So
That's
these are issues
true.
that must be addressed.
And you know, for me, I feel this is the right method to come out and voice it out. So individuals will not think that you are not capable of particularly heading that particular.
The earlier we know your constraints, the better.
Exactly. The earlier we know, so you don't. So people won't come out and say, "Oh my goodness, it's
But
not
then for 4
performing."
years you did nothing.
You did nothing. You're not performing, not knowing that you were financially constrained and you couldn't do anything. It's better let everyone say it so everyone sees it and knows that it's not that he wasn't performing or he didn't want to perform. He didn't have the financial capacity to do so. So it's better come out and say it, so we'll know that that was the reason behind you not performing and doing the
to do
needful.
much.
Exactly.
Right. All right, let's make some progress now, everyone. UTME, JAMB insists no extension for February 26 deadline as registration hits 1.5 million. And then we have the star headline for you with a kicker that says, ahead 2027 polls, kudos knocks as Tinubu signs amended electoral bill into law. Those details you would find on pages 3, 5, and 6. But then we have 3 riders, maybe 4 with it. Says we need to avoid glitches. Hearken, we did thorough job. Nigerians will be happy. Akpabio. Presidential National Assembly elections to hold in January. Abbas. It is sad day for democracy, says PDP, as ex-lawmakers forum hails Tinubu National Assembly. Infrastructure gaps forced reps U-turn on real-time result transmission. Isiaka. And then we have a couple of headlines on the right corner of the front page of the New Telegraph. Ubani, Nigeria needs electoral system that will curb manipulations at polling units, collation centers. Details await you on pages 9 and 10. 4 firefighters pastor injured as explosion rocks New York church. Well, sad story, no doubt.
Very sad.
Read up those details on page 4. Lent Ramadan starting same day, show both faiths share lots in common. Tinubu. Writers say move beyond policies to real action, Khan tells leaders on Ash Wednesday. Fasting coincidence, rare spiritual convergence will be. Abbas, governors, APC, others greet Christians, Muslims. Plateau mining site tragedy. Suspected gas leak kills 37, 25 others hospitalized. Alake seals mine. Pages 4 and 6. where you will find those details. And then the last one, often my favorites, at the very bottom of it, babies are exposed to more forever chemicals before birth. That's according to a study, which you find on page 29 of the New Telegraph. It says babies are exposed to more forever chemicals before birth. Juma was smiling from side to side.
The study is always bringing up stuff, a lot of things. And
some of them weird, but true, scientific.
True, yes. Like you said, weird, but true at the same time, scientific. Because mothers, of course, you know, when it comes to processed foods, when it comes to their nails, when it comes to all of these call it VU lights or something, or
UV lights.
UV lights, which is very detrimental. And I hear it's cancerous and all of that. So it's possible. There are some women who, when they're pregnant, they still want to look very beautiful. So the lipstick, so all of these chemicals can actually, in a way, direct or indirectly affect the baby. So I think I agree with that study today.
Somewhere in my head, I just said women.
Of course. And of course, next is the Nation newspaper. And above the nameplate, it says, failure to protect investors, deterring FDI, says Townley Johnson. And that read you will find on page 3. And on page 27, it says APC holds ward congresses nationwide. And on page 2 on the Nation, it says DSS arrests El-Rufai after released by EFCC. And that's on page 2. Now on page 4, it says JAM registers over 1.5 million for 2026 UTME. Now below the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, it says mining tragedy. Alake orders closure of site, dispatches investigators, and that's on page 3. And below that it says EOOK's direct remittance of oil gas revenue. And the star story on the Nation reads Electoral Act 2026 goes into effect. And we have 3 riders there. It says President signs reworked bill. INEC gets leeway to review election timetable. And the last rider reads elections can now hold in January. And at the foot of the Nation newspaper, it says ex-UN chief others to lead $2 billion Nigerian mining finance groups. And that you will find on page 7. And that is all on the Nation newspaper. Next, we have the Nigerian Tribune, and Uyi will guide us through.
Well, top right of it, with a picture of the governor of Ondo State. 2 killed during Ondo APC World Congress, and we saw how many of them were injured from head to toe. 33 miners die in tunnel in Plateau. Federal government closes site, dispatches forensic investigators. And then the big one, Tinubu signs Electoral Act 2026, says our laws must grow with experience. A new law alters INEC February date for presidential National Assembly election. Presidential National Assembly poll to hold in January 2027. That's according to Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas. Imputes were painstaking, thorough. Akpabio amended Electoral Act may undermine transparency, ex-INEC director. Our church attack, witness tells court how cell phones analysis implicated alleged attackers. Tinubu signs executive order for direct remittance of oil gas revenue to Federation accounts. Then a bit of health here. Artificial sweetener puts people at high risk of heart attack, stroke. That's according to study. For those of you who use artificial sweeteners for almost everything, including Zobo. All right, this is an eye-opener, and
it is.
They also say, ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
It's not.
But then the fact that you are not aware of some certain potential
you can get away with
doesn't mean you cannot be impacted by them if you let your guard down. Right.
Just stick to the norm. Sugar is fine.
Or
honey.
You heard from
the sweet tooth
a love
herself.
of sugar, right?
Yeah, that's me right here.
All right, let's take the last one. It says at the very foot of the paper, I have my eyes on Ogun 2027, says Lemo. ex-CBN deputy governor. Well, those are your headlines from the Nigerian Tribune today. I would encourage you, as always, to read up details for yourself as we move next to the Daily Sun.
All right, now the Daily Sun newspaper, beside the nameplate of the Daily Sun on page 4, it says Ebonyi, man, wife, son, tortured, banished over traditional stool. Okay. And below that it says 11 die as ancestral tree crashes on bus in Enugu community. That
ancestral tree.
Ancestral tree. Okay. And on the Star Story on the Daily Sun says Tinubu ignores opposition, signs electoral amendment bill into law. And below all of that, it says CJN, corruption allegations against judicial officers must be evidence-based, and that's on page 4 on the Daily Sun. And on page 36, it says, we are owed 6 trillion naira, operationally strained. That's Genco's cry out. Okay, everyone is coming out now.
Right.
All right, which is good. I said it's good. And then on page 27, it reads, Tinubu governors preach peace at length, Ramadan. And the writer says, coincidence of the 2 rare season of hope for Nigeria, Obi, and I absolutely agree with that. Length, Ramadan, Muslims and Christians coming together to pray to God. Everything's going to be fine.
It doesn't happen all the time.
It doesn't happen on rare occasions.
Right.
It just shows that God really is here with us, you know, with faith and fasting. So the prayers can be with speed. It will be answered.
And we must take advantage of that as a people.
We must, and live in unity and peace. Very important.
Right.
And of course, on page 27, it says 2026 UTME registration hits 1.5 million as February 26 deadline approaches. And basically, that is it on the Daily Sun newspaper. Go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next, we have the Nigerian News Direct. You are next.
All right. Let's see what we have on the Nigerian News Direct this morning for you. First, it says statutory loopholes in PIA, that was Petroleum Industry Act, diverted 2/3 of Nigeria's oil remittances. All right. And then next, then of course, there are 2 riders to it. Issues executive order proving direct remittance of oil revenues. Suspends NNPC limited management fee. All right. What more do we have here? Tells us that just down a little, NDLEA seizes 621 kilograms of illicit drugs, arrests 600 suspects in Bayelsa. Quite a lot of suspects, really, from one state. EFCC extends El-Rufai's detention amid 432 billion naira corruption probe. FCT polls, INEC vows zero tolerance for vote buying, partners with EFCC, ICPC. Deploys 1,132 vehicles to ensure early arrival of electoral materials. And then lastly, Tinubu signs Electoral Act, reaffirms human element in final results. Of course, all of that happened yesterday. I read up these details from the Nigerian News Direct. Next port of call is the Vanguard.
All right, now the Vanguard newspaper, not so much on the paper right now, but above the nameplate, it says Tinubu signs executive order to end NNPC's 30% oil revenue cuts, and that read you will find on page 20. Now, at the side of the nameplate, it says failure of institutions deterring FDI Nigeria, says Townley Johnson, and that read you will find on page 21. Now, the Star Story reads, e-transmission of poll results can't replace manual. And that's from our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we have one writer there says, signs Amendment Electoral Act 2026 into law. Now, on page 10 on the Vanguard, it says, INEC's position on e-transmission of election result. And on page 15, it says, APC Congress, 2 feared, killed, 5 injured, vehicle burnt in Ondo. And basically, those are the major headlines on the Vanguard newspaper. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast with issues making rounds. Next is The Guardian.
On The Guardian, the top left corner has a picture of Peter Obi. IPAC Obi flee police clamp down tear gas of protesters at National Assembly. Right. Next has a picture of President Tinubu. Holy month. Tinubu Obi urge spiritual reflection, commitment to shared humanity. Reps fought poor funding of security intelligence, of course. And then the big one says 2027 credibility battle shifts to INEC as Tinubu signs amended Electoral Act. Electoral Bill 2026 Comprehensive Public Guide. You have infographics beautifully laid out for you right on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. But then on the right corner, one with a picture of Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, has a rider here, I should say has a kicker that reads FCT polls, INEC pledges e-transmission of results. Mixed reactions, protest trail Delta APC word congresses. And then next is one here that says Gencos reject NLC's extortion claims, says sector battling 6 trillion naira unpaid bills. Quite a complicated situation. Tinubu orders NNPC to remit oil revenue to FARC, that's the Federation accounts, as rig count stagnates. Telcos rejects objection to e-results transmission, insists on national coverage. Those are your headlines from the Guardian newspaper today. Please do well to read up details as you go further into your day. Next is the First Daily.
All right, now the First Daily, and beside the nameplate of the First Daily says, vote Tinubu, get Nnamdi Kanu freed. And that's from Cubana Chief Priest tells Southeast. And below that it says, Gabon blocks Facebook, TikTok over hate speech fears. And that read you will find on the First Daily. And besides all of that, it says, Bloody Market Day, 11 killed in Enugu, tree collapse. And the star story on the First Daily says, President Tinubu signs Electoral Act 2026, amendment into law amid controversy. And we have 2 riders there. It says, opposition kicks, ex-INEC commissioner warns of chaos. And below, pardon me, and below all of that, it says, NIDCOM moves to repatriate diaspora doctors to boost healthcare. Okay. And it says, Ondo APC Congress turns deadly, 2 feared killed. Obi urges Nigerians to vote out current government. And it says, FCT poll results won't be transmitted in real time. That's INEC clarifies. And at the foot of the First Daily says, Bauchi horror, father chains son 17 years. Okay. All right, really Bauchi horror. That's very horrific.
It is.
I wonder what led to that. But if you want to know what actually led to that, you have to go out and get yourself a copy of the First Daily to be well abreast with that issue. And next we have the Daily Trust.
All right, so that will be our penultimate paper, and then Juma will come back to take the last one for us. Right here it says 16 months after FG's free C-section launch stays lag. How 33 miners died in Plateau. Well, here it says 38 miners died in Plateau, or saying varying, if you like, reports. By some accounts, it's 33. I saw 37 earlier this morning, and now we're hearing 38. But the important thing ultimately is that several lives have been lost in this very unfortunate incident, right? Another Nigerian fighting for Russia captured in Ukraine. It's becoming disturbing. Electoral law signed, transparency questions linger, and then there's a body of text there attributed to President Bola Tinubu. All right. DSS detains El Rufai as EFCC grants ex-governor bail. A female banker jailed 10 years for fraud. 8 soldiers killed in terrorist raid. And then lastly, skin bleaching exposes 168 million Nigerians to cancer, liver failure. Juma had to take a look at me. I mean, that's to show how disturbing it is.
It is. It's very disturbing. I think I need to talk about that on Health Guide, because a lot of women feel that is where the beauty is.
Right.
Just don't enhance anything. Just, well, people say it's all about being secure and all of that, but at the same time, it's really detriment to your health. And cancer is on the rise now. Be a lot of issues around that area, so we have to take it's something we need to take seriously. And a lot of women actually bleach this. So someone can be as dark as you, and then the next thing you know, she's as there as a Chinese individual.
What's a way to transform?
What a way to transform. But really, it's really disturbing.
It
really.
is.
It's disturbing, really.
Well, those are your headlines this morning from the Daily Trust newspaper. Please, as always, we encourage you to look at those details for yourself. Next, and the very last, is the Daily Monitor.
All right, now the Daily Monitor, and above the nameplate it says NCDMB to oil gas upstream companies remittance of 1% content levy mandatory, and that's on page 4. And on page 5 it says 86% of states now have functional public health emergency centers, and that's from NCDC. That's a step in the right direction. Emergency centers are key. It's very important. We should have that. Senator cries envelope budgeting, non-release of capital allocation to security agencies. That's on page 5. And on page 5 again, it says Abia Airport landowners threaten to reclaim farmlands over compensation concerns. Okay. And below all of that, it says strategy explosion kills 37 miners in Plateau, 26 hospitalized. You see, there's a little bit of hitch when it comes to the numbers. 38, 35, now 33, now 37. But like you said, the most important thing is lives were lost.
Several lives.
Several lives, very unfortunate. Now, below the nameplate of the Daily Monitor, it says, amidst controversy, Tinubu signs electoral bill into law. And we have 3 riders there. It says Electoral Act Amendment, not about politics, but about process. And the second rider reads, PDP kicks, says new Electoral Act exposes APC fear of defeat ahead of 2027 polls. And the last rider says Electoral Act 2026 will ensure every vote counts, end result manipulation. That's from Apabio. And below that it says how cell phone analysts implicated our church attackers, DSS witness. And basically those are all the stories making rounds on the Daily Monitor, and that's the end of the newspaper review segment on Global Morning. Like we mentioned, all of the editorial judgments on the papers, Global Television has no input whatsoever. We just read it how it is. And of course, it's still Global Morning. Up next is Social Buzz with Ogochukwu Mobono. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
when social media speaks, we'll listen and we'll bring you the extra. It's your one-stop show for trends, truths, and the tea everyone seeks. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get the extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global Television.
Good morning, Nigerians, and good morning, viewers around the world. It's time to look at buzzing issues making rounds on social media. And today we are looking at a topic that has been going viral on social media. A lot of persons have been talking about it. It has been trending, and this one is not something we have to overlook because it concerns a minor, and a woman has called out her husband for touching their 4-year-old daughter in a way that she doesn't like. According to her, she said that her husband abused their daughter and she is dragging this man. As a matter of fact, right now, a lot of media houses are looking into it. A lot of bloggers are taking it up and they are saying they have to look into it because it's becoming too much. So issues like these are not issues we should overlook, especially when it has come to minors. Recently, we've seen the cases of rape here and there, even the male to being victims, females to being victims. So we cannot ignore things like this. Let's take a look at the video where this young lady was dragging her husband, calling out her husband concerning this issue.
At this point in Nigeria, I need help. Because obviously I'm not getting the help I needed. I need help right now, Nigerians. I need help right now. Now I am shouting, nobody wants to hear me. Please, I need help. Can somebody save me from this man? Can somebody save me from this man? This man fingered his 4-year-old daughter. His 4-year-old daughter. Look at the child that this man fingered. Look at this the child that this man fingered. And when I reported to the police station, instead of him to order the detention that the police called him, instead he transferred the case from Agua police station to Festa police station. He did not order the invite. I'm calling out on Nigerians. Please, can you guys help me? Because at this point, no help is being granted to me. Please, can you guys help me? Nigerians, please.
So that's the video right there, and it's not something we overlook, like I said. Been coming up, and you could listen to her. When you heard her, she said, she has talked about it. They invited this young man to the police station, but then he ignored the invite, and instead he went to another station to make up another case, a different case. At this point, we are not families with these persons, but we are trying to look into it, diplomatically, because we don't want to kind of, bring forth judgments that is not right. We have seen cases like this, and we do not know where this kind of thing is coming from. As a matter of fact, the only thing I can say is this kind of case is demonic. It's not something we should just overlook, like I said earlier. So we'll just take some comments from social media and let's see and also hear what people think about this particular topic. So the first comment we are taking is from Laugh Nation, and Laugh Nation says, before you curse the husband, let the doctor run some tests. Remember that story of the woman asked her 2-year-old daughter to accuse their father of rape. We Nigerians started abusing the man online until the man was found not guilty. The wife was in love with another man and she wanted to put the husband in jail so she could get him out of her way. Well, this is another angle. Well, the next one is coming from Ngozi Chukuma, and Ngozi says, I don't think he's innocent. Why did he run when he was invited, and why did he transfer the case? All right, that's another angle. The last but not the least comment is coming from Victoria Inyama, and Victoria says, first of all, your husband has a name. I honestly don't feel empathetic because of my husband. He is a perpetrator, I beg your pardon, doing so much. Name and shame him. What exactly did he do and how did you find out? Video or did the child tell you? To the people that want to hear from the man, fair enough, but changing police stations is enough evidence. All right, thank you so much, everyone who dropped their comments concerning today's topic. And of course, I'm not alone today in the studio. I have with me Jumai Mansing. Good morning, Jumai.
Good morning, Ogo. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. So we're talking about issue of violating children, and these are minors. We've seen rape cases here and there. Different persons have come up, and this one is a father doing that to his daughter, 4 years old. That's a minor, like a baby. We still call that one a baby at this point.
Yeah.
What do you think about this case?
First of all, these are allegations because the man has not come out to say to the public that he's guilty or not. We just heard that he changed police stations
When he was invited.
When he was invited. The thing is, I like the fact that the mother, she's aware. There are most mothers out there who neglect their children. They do not understand. So she's aware that there's an act happening, or maybe the daughter must have told her, or she noticed or something. It shows that she's a very responsible mom and she's aware. But at the same time, it's just unfortunate that things like this, they actually happen. I've seen someone that her dad abused her when she was 13 till when she was in primary 3, and he abused her till when she was in the university, her second year in the university. We have seen cases like that, and it's just unfortunate that these things happen, but I'm sure the law would take its course. It's really sad though, but let's hear from the husband. It's very important we hear, but for individuals who are in this act, know that one day the law will take its course. It's just, and the worst thing is that it has a toll on these children. It takes a toll on them. So, but let the law take its course, very importantly.
All right, just like you said earlier, there's always two sides to a story. So we've heard from the lady, but definitely we'll really have to hear from the man. Of course, we are going to bring you update of the story as they unfold on social media. Thank you so much, Jumoy Manson, for your contribution to today's topic.
You're welcome.
And yeah, that's where we close the curtains today for Social Buzz here on Global Morning. Until I come your way next time, Jumoy and Uyi will be bringing us the other, part of the discussion section, which is on Global Morning today. I am Ogot Kumobuno. Good morning once again, Nigeria, and good morning the rest of the world. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we'll listen and we'll bring you the extra. It's your one-stop show for trends, truths, and the tea everyone seeks. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get the extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Buzz Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
No, I took some time to listen to Ogochukwu and Jumoy just a while ago as we were talking about this accusation of pedophilia, if you ask me. A father, biological father, I understand, being accused of torturing, that's the word, right? Their daughter, of course, the other side of the story has not been heard, even though we know every story, ideally, should have two sides to it. But it's becoming one occurrence too many.
Yes, it is.
And it's disturbing, especially at a time when I mean, it's not making it difficult, sometimes impossible for you to trust people with your girl children, and that's quite unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Like, you know, I shared an experience, and I said a friend of mine who was in primary 3 at that time, her dad actually abused her from primary 3, you can imagine 4, 5, primary 6,
all the way
to JS 1, JS 2, JS 3, SS1, SS2, SS. He stopped at 200 level. Because she told him she had to come out and say, if you do not stop this, I will announce you to the world. And he was doing that. And it's real. These things happen, and it's just unfortunate that, and sometimes mothers or stepmoms turn a blind eye because it's a very shameful thing to talk about.
The stigma is scandalous.
It's very scandalous. But some mothers who are very vigilant will not allow this slip under their eye. They will not allow this like a wool under their eye. So it's just unfortunate that these things happen. But as parents, guardians, were to protect these young ones. But for me, the law would definitely take its course if he actually committed this act of abuse when it comes to pedophilia, like we rightfully call it.
You know, quite frankly, I think we all we commend what several states are doing with their special offences courts. And again, Lagos takes the lead in that regard. When you have a court or a court system dedicated specifically to these kind of cases, and then of course including cases of rape and what have you. And speaking of rape, there's a story going on now of a particular young lady who is said to be living alone, not in school, not really meaningfully engaged in terms of work and stuff. But then she comes up one morning, comes to social media and all that, and saying to everybody that she got raped, she got poisoned in the process and all of that. And then a few neighbors come. I mean, meanwhile, people have been making contributions. Of course, civil society organizations have been trained. They are way behind her. And you know how people can be very emotional about these things.
Of course.
Even when you do not know the person from anywhere. And things like that. So she's getting a lot of support. And one thing leads to another. And then, of course, police is in the middle of it. Yes, police say, well, we are going to have to do due diligence and all of that. Of course. Forensic analysis, investigation, and what have you. And the lady refuses. Add to that, neighbors are now said to come out to say, well, nothing of such happened. That on that day or that night that she particularly referenced, we had seen her live with a particular man, and no such thing had happened. And they were both normal. They looked cool together. Plus, we didn't hear any scream. There was no sign. She didn't even relate with any of us in the house or within the neighborhood of all of. So all of the dots are now put together, and both the police authorities and citizens as well as neighbors are now beginning to understand that there's a pretty good chance this never happened. That's one side of the story.
Oh my goodness.
The other side of the story is to say that, well, who knows? Because somebody came up and said, who knows? Is it not possible that because the person she mentioned to be responsible for this alleged rape is a big man's son, there could be some efforts deliberately to cover up and things like that.
Okay, that could be possible.
Exactly. So that again is a theory that you want to explore. But the facts of the case must be established. Yes. That's number one. But two, we're also now learning that while every right-thinking human being anywhere in the world must rail against rape or sexual abuse of any kind, whether you know the person or not, whether the person is related to you or not, we must also now realize that there's the flip side to this whole thing.
Definitely.
Where people are I mean, the best word I can find now is falsely accused of raping someone.
Very true.
Rape is a big offense.
It's a big deal. Are you kidding me?
While on the one hand, people who are being accused of raping and established to have raped must be dealt with within the confines of the law.
I totally
agree. We must now also turn our eyes to how about those who are being falsely accused? What do you do to reverse, if ever possible, this scandal? The stigma. How do you compensate for that? And how do you also reward those who are engaged in perpetrating this kind of false accusation?
Exactly. You see, there's a lot that needs to be done. Like you said, the flip side of it. It's very important. And individuals who just make up these stories. It's just unfortunate that sometimes, you know.
And you say she's a woman, she can't be lying about it.
She can't be lying about it, but, you know, sometimes she can. Like you said, she's not gainfully employed. So, you know, desperate time comes for desperate measures, people will say. So if this is the fastest route for me to get that recognition and help, people will do whatever it takes to just get. But it's unfortunate. I do not support that notion where you forcefully accuse someone wrongly, or you make up these sort of stories just to get empathy and sympathy from the public, which individuals actually they don't even care.
Right.
But I think the needs to be done. That investigation must take place. You must undergo health to be sure that, because once you're raped, once an individual is raped, I don't know how they check it. I do not know. God forbid.
There's a standard procedure.
They should have. So she should be checked and let's know what's going on. But for me, for her to refuse going for that checkup, I think there is something fishy around that story. We really
just like you do with insurance. I mean, if somebody insures a car, for example, and you come up to your insurer and you say, well, the car has been stolen or the car has been burnt. You don't expect the insurance company to just hand you another car.
No.
They have to follow the legal rules. And then they have to bring closure to it and be sure, in fact, double sure that your claim is valid. All right, so I think that's really much what it is. So people should understand that you don't just cry wolf where there is none, and expect that the whole world will rally around you.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
We're now hearing, I mean, this is on the lighter note. So there are some of the persons who had contributed or made donations to this young lady, and now saying, please, by all means, we need our money back. Right, and that's embarrassing. I've never heard of something like that my whole life.
And then Mujahid had to put the camera on me because at this point it's cracking me up. Why would you ask for it? No. A gift is a gift. Even in law, you will not get that money back. It's a gift, please.
I'm even feeling that the bulk of these people now asking for refund may not necessarily need it. But I think that's the only way they're able to express their anger, their disappointment, by saying, you fooled all of us.
That's the worst thing that can ever happen to anyone, once you fool someone. And the thing is, once I share that, you can never, someone says you can never be in someone's shoes, but you can actually feel the pain in a sort of way. So individuals who were actually betrayed by that trust, I'm sure that's why they want their money back. Let her do the needful, give them their money back.
The question is there money back guarantee?
Exactly.
We're not so sure, but then it is what it is now.
Yes,
and it's also a way of saying that people must be responsible for the places they go to, the people they hang out with.
Very important.
And things like that. Because I'm now wondering, when all of these now clears, I mean, when it all settles down, will this lady still be able to live in that neighborhood?
So was accused of the same thing, but the wife actually
did it because she was in love with another man. She was in love with another man.
So of course, these sort of things, scenarios will play out, and even when it's believable, with all of these scenarios that we've seen, it makes it look
people
as if
begin
it's
to
false.
scratch their heads.
Exactly.
All right, well, we're going to take a break soon so we can bring you our first conversation that has to do with the Lassa fever outbreak and the devastating impact it's having now on communities. We're reading that quite a number of states are being impacted. Health workers are having a tough time dealing with these, especially for a country that has seen so much of outbreaks. In 2014, for example, it was Ebola, and how Nigeria was able to conquer that is still a mystery to many people, including some of us in this industry. And then, of course, there was COVID, which was more global in nature. We were also able to win that. And polio, polio has been more like what
it has.
Decimal. And we have also been able to deal with that to a large extent. At a point, even Nigeria was declared a polio-free nation. Even though later down the line, we started having, if you like, a pocket of cases here and there and things like that. And now it's Lassa fever. What exactly makes Lassa fever such a stubborn infection that doesn't seem to go away altogether? We understand so much resources have been plowed into research, into understanding it better and dealing with it. And, well, let's find out details for you.
Wheels keep turning, and behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodinma's leadership has left the pages of manifestos to become real actions and achievements. Transformations that piece by piece feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace to thrive, and in Imo, we are not leaving it to chance. From land to sky to river deep, guardians are always watching, protecting dreams and opportunities. If you go to the quiet shore of Orashi Power, you will see the awakening of a hydropower roaring to electrify and energize a blossoming economy. The change is visible. The heartland of the East is under construction as new roads are threading together once forgotten places. Industry is humming again and communities are alive. At the center of it all, a digital revolution is rising. A new ministry with a new mission. Not just cables and codes, but capacity. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build a digital future. And as Orashi power goes up, so does Imo, lifting with it the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Step outside and you feel it instantly. The air is dusty. The Federal Capital Territory and most parts of the country are currently under the noticeable dust haze. And up north, the concentration is even heavier. So heading into Thursday, the story doesn't change. The dust stay with us. We're expecting thick dust haze across the northern cities, especially in Borno, Adamawa, Jigawa, Gombe, Bauchi, Katsina, and Kano State. Visibility could drop to 1,000 meters or even less. That means hazy skies, reduced visibility, and extra caution for flight operators to check the NIMET e-flight folder portal for proper planning. And also anyone spending long hours outdoors. Across the north-central region, moderate dust haze would dominate, while inland southern cities will still experience slight hazy conditions. But that's not all. By afternoon, we're watching out for thunderstorms over part of Ondo, Ogun, Bayelsa, Cross River, and River State. So while some areas battle dust, others could hear rumbles of thunder later in the day. It's a mix of haze and storms. So stay alert, drive carefully, and keep those umbrellas close if you are in the south. I am Akani Samarda.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
as always, it's a pleasure to have you join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi.
You know how we do it on Teacher Plus Extra, bringing you all the...
On the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss, and of course...
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
a numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Face to Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time, where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
world leaders in United
Welcome
Nigeria
to Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
for the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
We're going to be talking about Lassa fever in detail. Quite frankly, our guests will join us in a few minutes virtually from here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. But just to cycle back real quick to the fact that there's an election coming up on Saturday in our city, that's in Abuja, the area council elections. It's been a long time coming. At some point, it was as if February 21 will not come again.
Exactly.
But now we are just about 48 hours away from it. And,
yes, we are.
Well, the stage is set, as I say. I'm sure campaign ends today, so yes, by Saturday people will go cast their votes. Before now, we've seen the continuous voter registration exercise,
yes, we have,
and so on and so forth. And Global Television will be covering as well. But let's quickly talk about for a minute the issues around local administration, or if you like, local governance, and all of that.
You know, it's amazing time though. A lot of people are excited.
Right.
New leadership is going to emerge, and of course, the most importantly is going out to vote. Very, very important. You cannot just have individuals who are out there and they are no one to vote. So it's a time for a very big choice to be made here in the FCT Abuja. And I'm sure people are prepped and pumped in order to make that very big decision. In order for an individual in this in the lower electoral part of it, for individuals to come out and choose the right leader that will be their mouthpiece in order to make things happen when it comes to their constituents. It's a big deal.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's a big deal. Another big deal is a health issue, which we understand is basically posing a lot of challenge right now. We're going to join our guests quickly. We understand our guest has already come on. Can we confirm quickly if we have Dr. Daniel Faithful with us on the program already? All right, let's take a break now, and when we return, we'll be joined by our guests. Stay with us. We're now being joined virtually here in Abuja by Dr. Faithful Daniel. He's a public health researcher. Dr. Daniel, thank you for taking our time to join us this morning. All right, I'm sure we can begin from somewhere, perhaps talking about basically the distinctive, if you like, traits or features of Lassa fever. It appears we've not been able to establish audio stream with our guests, but that's a very brilliant way, place to start from, so our viewers can, from the ground up, understand what distinguishes essentially Lassa fever from other kinds of infection and how we got to where we are right now in this regard. Hopefully, we've been able to establish audio stream with our guests. Please, Dr. Daniel Faithful, can you confirm that we've been able to, you can get through to us? All right, I think that's still being tweaked right now. But Joe, basically, that's one brilliant way to understand how this whole infection manifests, really, whether we like it or not. Sometimes I wonder, for people who live in the suburb or who live in altogether rural areas, what do they know about Lassa fever?
Exactly.
Or the only thing they know is there's this rat that peels off your food.
Exactly.
Right, and then it needs to blow it until maybe at dawn you realize that something has gone wrong, and all of that. All right, let's cycle back to our guest. Dr. Daniel would like to say a big thank you to you this morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you all right. So we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. It's my pleasure.
All right, great. We understand it's quite a full day for you, so let's make the most of the next few minutes. Talk to us quickly about the basics of Lassa fever, especially as it has to do with features and manifestations.
Okay, so I was speaking earlier, and I said that one of the things that make Lassa fever quite interesting and difficult to manage is the fact that, as regards the symptoms, it's quite variable in patients. We have to understand that for patients who get infected with Lassa fever in the first 6 to 21 days or 2 to 21 days in some patients, they may show no symptoms. And that for the very vast majority of patients who are infected, that's about 80% of them may show no symptoms at all. So when it comes to symptomatology, that's the features or the characteristics that you are asking, they are not so different from what you have in diseases that are caused by many other different organisms. But typically you see that in the very first few days, patients begin to complain of fever, that's the body temperature increasing, they complain of a headache, sore throat, some pain in their muscles, chest pain. They may have the feeling of the feeling of vomiting or actually vomiting. They may experience loose stools, diarrhea, difficulty in breathing, and all of those things. But Lassa fever, we say, is a viral hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhagic being that there has to be some element of uncontrolled bleeding. So for these patients, you have them bleeding from their orifices, from the mouth, that's gastrointestinal bleeding, from the anus, from the vagina, from the urethral tract. You understand that, from other cavities, and as well, they also have the complaints of maybe facial swelling and all of that. So that's basically as far as it gets when it comes to symptoms. In a very few patients, that is for the clinician perspective, that's for the managing team, you have them having problems with their liver, their spleen, their kidneys, and if at all, if it results in fatal outcomes, it happens within the first 14 days.
I want to ask, how serious is Lassa fever in our country, looking at it, and the current outbreak? For individuals who are wondering, is it serious, is it not serious? Can you break it down to us as a health practitioner? How serious is this particular disease?
Okay, thank you for the question. It's as serious as it gets. And the fact that Lassa fever is endemic in Nigeria, that is, it's always present in the country as well as other countries in the West African region. But when we realize the fact that it is a disease that can cost life, that can cause early death, premature death, especially for pregnant women, because we've seen that the statistics are showing that about 80% of women in their late trimester will get infected with Lassa fever actually die from it, or there will be fetal loss, that's loss of the baby that is developing. But the problem is that Lassa fever has been in existence, right? But the current outbreak is evolving in other states, in Taraba, in Benue states, and then in southern states in Nigeria like Edo, that have now declared a public health emergency. But our communities, the information is not circling within them. So there is not, that community preparedness is missing. The fact that people are not taking, drastic steps in terms of protecting their households from the rodents, the particular multi-mammate rat that has several breasts, that is predominant in our regional locality, taking steps to protect our foods, especially grains, things like gari, that's a staple food consumed heavily in Nigeria. And then we're also seeing the problem with the risk that is borne by healthcare practitioners. We're talking about the fact that the transmission, human-to-human transmission, is much more frequent in healthcare settings. That's for your healthcare workers. Because like I said earlier with symptoms, they're not so specific to Lassa fever. So you may not know until maybe this patient starts bleeding from orifices, their nostrils, their mouth, their anus, and then you begin to suspect. But in hospitals that lack infection prevention control measures, then doctors may be at risk. And one thing that comes to mind is the situation with Dr. Salome Oboyi, who died in early February after operating on a patient that was infected with Lassa fever, a pregnant patient infected with Lassa fever.
Basically, health practitioners are the ones at risk. At what level does it get to that point? Because we know with the rodents, it's when they actually urinate on the food or they perch on the food. With humans, how is the contact when it comes to one actually getting Lassa fever from human to human?
Okay, so human-to-human transmission is facilitated by blood and body fluids when it comes to saliva, when it comes to contact with urine, and then the blood product itself. And that's why you understand why healthcare practitioners remain the ones that are more at risk, because in dealing with sick patients, you come into contact with all these fluids. Also, those who nurse sick patients at home, irrespective of the cause, we say you should have a high index of suspicion in terms of trying to create a barrier by using personal protective equipment with these blood products or body fluids. The situation in Nigeria, the economic situation. Many patients do not present to the hospital except it is very late or it is very severe. So we tend to nurse our sick at home, and those who do these nursing practices or this home nursing, they also are at risk of contacting the Lassa fever. We also have the problem with our burial practices, in certain localities where you have them maybe washing or preparing the corpse at home rather than seeking professional services, especially when the circumstances relating or surrounding the death is questionable or known, and maybe there is no certification. Then you know that in all of these things, these are routes of transmission.
So an individual can actually, can someone eat with someone that has Lassa fever, drink from the same cup, hug, peck or kiss the person without being infected with Lassa fever?
Well, as far as it goes, when we talk about eating, if you're talking about sharing the same utensils, then that's salivary contact. So there's a possibility that you could get infected. I think what makes the story interesting is the fact that they may show no symptoms, they may show no signs. Because I would say that once somebody has been confirmed to have Lassa fever, the management protocol is to immediately isolate the patient. So it then means that once you are in close proximity with somebody who has Lassa fever, in terms of being in the same space, in the same room, sharing the same utensils to eat, then you are at severe risk for Lassa fever. I think that now brings in the point of contact tracing, where we have to trace all those who either have been in physical contact or live in the same households with patients that have been confirmed to have the Lassa fever virus.
All right, we're going to have to let you jump off real soon. But last question: when we had Ebola, when we had that interface, so to speak, with Ebola, about some 12 or so years ago, One of the things we noticed, amongst others, was heightened alertness, heightened security, heightened awareness. Airports, ports of entry everywhere. All right, we saw all of that. I mean, you mentioned contact tracing a while ago, isolation, talking about the entire chain of protocols and what have you. Are we seeing that level of commitment now with these Lassa fever as we had experienced with Ebola?
I will say that the degree of the national alert and then the communication, risk communication, is not as sound or effective as we had in the Ebola case. And I think that to some extent it is because of Lassa fever is, like I said earlier, endemic, so it has always been there. So there is that feeling of we understand the way it spreads, and then we understand to some extent, a degree, how to control it. In certain states, it has now spiraled out of control. We are now seeing more deaths or more cases than is expected. That's more than the curve that has been over a particular period of time. And that's why we're having the kind of attention we're having in states like Edo. But then it calls for attention, because if the disease, the way it is, spreads more than the current situation, it spirals out of hand, then we'll put ourselves in a very precarious position when it comes to either traveling, the way we handle our markets, and even the communities. I think that for the most part, the concern has been within the medical community rather than involving members of the community, the public, in putting hands together with how we can stop the barrier for the spread of the infection.
About putting hands together with communities, what are some precautionary measures that can be taken to actually curb this menace within ourselves as a community and, of course, the health sector on its own?
So the first thing is about knowledge. If people are not aware about a condition, then there is no point. We cannot achieve control. So we need to get members of the community, members of the public, to know that there is actually something like Lassa fever is being spread by rats. And then how can we protect ourselves from these rats? So household cleaning, we have to discard waste away from household areas. Persons are also advised to also use maybe get cats into their homes in order to bring down the population of rats that are available, and then use hard storage containers that rats cannot tear into to store our grains and our foods. Then good hand hygiene, using respiratory barriers like nose masks, especially if you suspect that somebody is sick. Just having a fever, respiratory symptoms, they call for concern. And then how to use these, how will I put it, infection prevention and control measures when you are in close proximity with persons who are sick, especially when you are not able to tell what exactly is wrong with the patient or what exactly is wrong with this person, whether they are family or friends. Then I think that to a larger extent, it's a cause for concern. By the time patients start bleeding from orifices, for the most part, it will be too late. And that is where we can be able to, control or address the disease within our communities.
All right. Incidentally, I would like to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Faithful Daniel, a public health researcher, for, in spite of your busy schedule today, taking our time to come and enlighten our viewers regarding Lassa fever and what exactly the developments are. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. We're going to take a break at this point. When we return, we'll talk about socio-political, or if you like, socio-economic developments across subnationals, particularly states that are now believed to be putting their best foot forward in terms of driving local economy. Please stay with us. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
for the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
And again, we keep hearing that there's no way Nigeria will be able to fast-track development across sectors until, of course, beyond our obsession, for want of better words, with the federal government, we are able to drive development to the grassroots at the subnational levels, whether states or local. Here, for example, we talked about some states that have decided to float their own airlines, others who have decided to partner with private entities, with even, foreign institutions, all in a bid to open up their economic frontiers and then, of course, drive a local economy. We've seen Enugu make that move, but of course, Lagos has been on the forefront for as long as we know. Edo State is toeing that path as well. So you look at states like Kaduna, for example, they are trying to make the same efforts to ensure that reliance on the center, which is the federal government, as we always call it, is reduced to its barest. One of the most recent developments is the state government now saying that it's collaborating with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to also, if you like, catch a piece of the action within the oil and gas sector. What's the framework for these? What's the policy drive? And what plans are in place for sustainability? This one we're joined by a politician who is also an economic analyst, Haruna Ibrahimo. Haruna will say a big thank you to you and Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and Ramadan Kareem.
All right. Well, first of all, let's start. I mean, you and I will spend time talking about subnational development, how that states and local governments must play their part. How that we can't continue to run, so to speak, to the federal government when some of these responsibilities sit squarely with the states.
Yeah.
Many states say, well, we have to rely largely on allocation from the federal government. We have to rely largely on internally generated revenue. And in fairness to some of these states, we've seen how they've been able to become creative economically to expand their revenue streams locally, right, or internally, if you like. But as it stands today, there are still questions being asked as to, for states where we are seeing 3 times more coming from federal allocation, are there visible signs of these states doing more now than when they were receiving less from the center?
Yeah, it depends on the prism you want to look at it from. And it depends on how the governor is actually driving fiscal responsibility in that state. I think I read a report that says that some governors are into more debt now, even as they are receiving much.
Is that not a very funny irony?
Yeah, it's ironic in some ways, and it's also a reflection of how the docility of the citizens, as far as critical governance engagement is concerned. We have visited our minds on the central government for so long, and we have tacitly excused the state government from a responsibility check. If you notice, almost every headline in Nigeria across the media trying to, for over 30 years now, headlines are almost always 70% centralized on what goes on at the federal level. And that was how we gradually and systematically, unknowingly, excused other tiers of governments from governance check. If these people are being checked from local government, a country that operates federalism with 774 local government at 36 states. And a country whose resources by FAC, more than half goes to these subnationals. At the end of the day, we always fixate our mind on what goes on at the central. And unfortunately, the central cannot provide for all.
Right.
By constitution, by constitutional responsibility, in all ramifications, they cannot provide for all. And the other people, we don't know what they are doing with the money. Nobody's checking who, you know, even some people ignorantly also expect the federal government to be checking the activities of the state, which is against, that negates the fundamentals and principles of true federalism. It doesn't work that way, you know. So it is the citizens that have not actually engaged the state governments, the local government, to ask questions. Because some of these states are receiving 20-something billion in allocation as against 7 billion, 5 billion before the subsidy removal. Some are receiving 15, 17. We see all the facts being published every day.
Right.
Why do you think the government, the federal government, publish all these facts? It's for us to know. And when we know, what do we do with the information? You know, there's no check. A lot is going on backward-wise as far as economy is concerned, social infrastructure provision. You know, but some states are also doing very well, at least in the last analysis report that dwells on budget performance implementation. We saw like, we can count like 9 to 10 states that are really doing well, very well, you know, of which Edo State is among. You understand how governors are actually using the budget to drive fiscal delivery, from infrastructure, broadening the economic frontiers of their states, providing social goods for the people, and at the same time creating prudent fiscal measures for sustainable development of the states.
Okay, I think Juma wants to jump in.
Yes, for me, I want you to briefly explain what does expanding economic frontiers mean to state governments in practical terms?
In practical terms, then I will be dwelling on my state, Edo State, because that is a focal point for a proper analysis of what expanding the economic frontiers is. Expanding the economic frontiers have to be deliberate sectoral allocation of resources, implementing and following up, opening up the system for private sector to come in. How does a governor in a state or a government open up the system? What drives industrialization primarily is availability of sound developmental infrastructures, almost slimless bureaucratic bottleneck, removing them from the way, creating ease of doing business, driving policies that makes the business environment in a particular state to not be hostile and very friendly, and create other government support and incentives from across the SME level, the nano level, the trading level, till you get to the industrial level. In Edo State, for example, if you break it down sector by sector, we're having the agric revolution going on there. The government will be able to, first of all, open up the system, the agric sector, by investing like a fiscal basis in the budget, creating about more than 70 billion provision in the 2025 budget to open up that agric sector, driving rural infrastructure, because accessibility to roads, water, and all that is one of the prerequisites you need to make farm produce get to the cities. So what Governor Mondo Bewolo did was to open up the rural areas. A lot of massive infrastructure revolution is going on there, building schools in these areas, decentralizing some critical infrastructure like health. For example, when you now build health institution like the Edo State Health Management, NOSI, and Health Management Technology School, decentralizing it, putting some in the rural areas, you know, to curb the rural urban drift. And invariably, you are now indirectly inviting people, potential farm investors, agro investors, to want to come to these rural areas because they will have access to health facility. They will have access to good schools. They have access to roads. And for the first time, we're talking about pipe-bore water because he has to resuscitate the Ugboha water project across that area. And he created 3,000 hectares of land for agricultural revolution across the 3 senatorial districts from Edo South, Edo North, and Edo Central. And in this top, they partner with the cooperative to let them know today we are having yields already. Tons of hundreds in tons of maize and related series product, produce rather, is being off-taken from there. There is warehouse built, there are matching, agri mechanization. You know, this have to open up the system. And it is top there again. He partnered with a private sector, the Zeta Automobile, that have agreed with the government. We're already producing local tractors, farm tractors in Edo State. So it's going to say that alone you are saving a capital flights. You're not taking foreign, you're not taking dollars outside Nigeria. The tractors will be manufactured in Edo States. Tricycles are also manufactured there. With the tricycle available there, you don't need dollar to import tricycles to Edo State. You don't even need money to transport tricycle from Lagos. You now have an assembly of tricycle where tricycles and tractors are assembled in Benin. You understand? The economies of scale will improve, and the price of these things will reduce. That is how, these are the frontiers we are talking about. If you talk of industrialization, see on the agri, we have the Ugbokan agricultural value chain based in, I think, Ovia. The initiative was driven by Professor Patu Tomi, was first brought to bear in Edo State in 2016. And the program is private sector driven, more than about $136 million agro-based initiative that have been sustained over the years up till now. You understand? The Agbedewarake farm cultivation, groundbreaking is going on with partners from abroad. This is all in the agri sector. You should go to the SME. You also have to make the first move by saying, okay, the traders, we are providing 1 billion naira for the traders in the States as an interest-free facility for them to improve in their small business, which also encourage partnership with the BOI, Bank of Industry for the SME, for a 75 billion. I'm talking of how it's opening the system. A 75 billion SME facility of a single-digit interest rate of 9%. Partner with Edo State, where you are, when you are calling seamless, you just go to either their portal or you walk into the Bank of Industry in Benin as a small business owner. As low as 1 million, you can get it at 9% interest annual. You know, it's not prorated stuff. It's just annual, a single-digit interest rate to encourage the SME system. You know, and the health sector is having investors right now because you also have to open up the health system by first of all checking the deficit in the human capital in the health sector. Well, why are people not actually operating the health centers across the respective in the rural areas? Why is the pressure on the central hospital in Benin? And he discovered that there's dearth of human capital there, and they recruited more than 2,000 graduates, medical paramedics graduates, and feed them in that sector, post them outside the Benin, you understand, outside Benin City, and now you're having investment coming into that particular area. Look at what is going on in education, what is doing in education. Beyond the rhetorics of curriculum amendment or whatever you call it, you have to take the book back. Without infrastructure, there's no education expansion. And you see today is being voted as the best governor in Nigeria on education.
I think there's a lot to talk about those states, quite frankly,
exactly,
in the course of this show. But I want to cycle back to a very disturbing issue you raised a while ago before Juma asked the question. When you said that, I mean, the word you used was docility, that there's docility on the part of citizens in terms of holding state governments, or if you will, governors accountable for doing their parts as already constitutionally provided for. Time and again, economists and financial experts like yourselves tell us that, well, poverty has been weaponized in Nigeria, and as such, once people have now been put in a position where they have to fight poverty beyond pockets, but now poverty of the mind, which is really psychological, there's next to nothing they can do, which also informs, many people say, the idea of people selling their votes, for example. So if you have that level of endemic poverty, which the World Bank says is in millions every other time, what really can you do in terms of holding powerful people like governors accountable?
We don't have any choice than to hold them accountable. Because our kind of poverty is, the World Bank said, is multidimensional.
Our kind.
Yeah, it's not a regular poverty. It's multidimensional. You know, you might be rich in finance and be poor in not having access to basic things of life. That makes you poor.
Potable water, accessible
you may have
roads.
Millions in your account and still be poor the other way around, because where you are coming from, you still have to be the local government chairman of yourself.
Right.
You still have to provide water for yourself. You provide transportation for yourself. You even provide security for yourself in your compound, you know, and you have to seek borrow for yourself and all that. So you are invariably still poor. Or you may even have we are communal people in Africa. You have a chain of family lines who still rely on you, who are as old as you are, or some are older than you. You know, they are not productive to earn a living. They still have to rely on you. Every month you see the chain of mouth that you have to feed. That still makes you a poor person. It doesn't really have to tell with how much you are worth, net worth in cash.
Right.
You know, and that boils down, that takes us back to the issue of we sitting down to say, let us do the right thing. It's not about a poverty of the mind. It's a deliberate ignorance. That
on the part of citizens.
On the part of citizens, you know, every day they've shifted the discourse mainly to leadership. That is where we missed it, because every leadership is an outcome of citizenry. It's an outcome of followership. Every leader of today was a follower yesterday. Leadership does not start from up down. It's from down up. I keep telling you. Every leader of today was a follower yesterday. Right. You understand?
Right.
So, but they be able to blackmail and shift the discourse to everything is about leadership. We have leadership issue. We have leadership question. We have leadership. These leadership things we are talking about. Leadership is a process that involves a lot. Who is a leader? It's another question on its own. A leader must have strength of character, credibility, integrity. Some of this must be have something that is somebody that is very decisive and with sincerity of purpose, that carries the mind of being a sacrificial lamb, like servitude. I'm coming to serve. Do you have all this? The people that are choosing you, have they astray you in this regard before they allow you to come and provide leadership for them? So you don't choose somebody that you have not strayed, that you have not evaluated along these criteria, and tomorrow you complain that the problem is leadership. You know, I think Barack Obama said the leadership circumstance of a people is a reflection of the followership circumstance of that people.
Right.
The kind of citizens you have determine the kind of leaders you have.
Now, I want to ask a question. Now, let's talk about the challenges. What are the challenges hindering industrialization in state level?
At state level, I've just said it. Most of the governors, they don't have a sense of direction. They play politics more than governance. Because when politics overtake governance, you lose focus. After the politics has given you a platform to become government, you have governance become the machinery upon which you drive what you want to give to the people. So the question is, what did you actually, if you actually had plans that this is what you want to deliver to the people, then you should not allow politics to derail. You should be able to manage it pari passu, side by side. They must work simultaneously. You understand? It may be 50, 40, 60, 70, 30, but ensure that governance and the people come first. They have to be the 70 or the 60. You understand? But a situation whereby when your activities is built around 70%, 80% politics, you have little or nothing to give in return to open up the system. Like I've just explained to you, if the system was not open in those states for industrialization. Press code that have been existing there will not say we are committing another $100 million to Edo State. Today they are committing another $100 million, bringing another foreign partner to bring $100 million for expansion on palm oil farming. And these are foreign companies. Okomo is there, it's a foreign company. The two biggest palm oil companies in Nigeria, ironically, they are in Edo State. Why have they been in Edo State? If the environment has not been, there have been sustainable attempts by government, even over time, since military regime, but they've been there since maybe early 90s or late 80s. You understand? So I feel most of the state governors have actually missed it. They are not keen into the parts of at the central level, from institutional framework design, sectoral harmonization of policies. You know, in 2004 to 2005, Professor Charles Oludo was the CBN governor.
Right.
Yeah, he came up with he came up with a suggested policy that was adopted by Obasanjo then, talking about needs, national economic empowerment and development strategy. You understand? You need to empower the economy so that development, it can crystallize to development. If you don't empower the economy to grow, how do you empower an economy as a state government? Do your responsibility. Make sure that there are good education policies for you, for the people. Make sure that the infrastructural well-being of the state is at least above average. You understand? Make sure that the economic environment is friendly enough. Eliminate a bureaucratic bottleneck in some of your policy drives. Today we are, apart from Lagos, Edo State is creating another critical ICT hub that even Gate Foundation is keen into. We have more than $70 billion diaspora inflows into Nigeria annually. How many states have thought of opening up their system to partner with when you talk of diaspora inflows? It may be monies to assist the respective families of our people in diaspora. But taking it beyond that, how many people have actually dialogued with these diaspora people to turn it to diaspora investment, not just inflow? In Edo State, we have the Office of the Special Advisor to the Governor on Diaspora Commission, and they've created enough incentive. We want to tap about $7 billion of that fund, because we have a lot of Edo people outside Nigeria. They have this, most of them are head institutions in abroad. The head of the Water Corporation in New York is an Edo man. They also have a lot to bring back home in building hospitals, in building factories and all that. So they cannot come if the government, if they come to Edo State and they are finding security not there, they will not be happy. If they come to the state and they don't have access route. So some of these things that you think and you know as a governor will hinder the expansion, will hinder the opening up of your economy. You concentrate on that.
I want us to go to, again, let's stay with Edo State. Even though I know, since you referenced Governor of Anambra State, former CBN Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, a while ago. In 2005, we know, for example, he was also in the same New York. He had a meeting with the Nigerian business community there. Many of them very accomplished. They've been there for decades and all of that. And he told them they could come back home to invest. And they saw a lot of economic sense. They saw prosperity in what he had proposed to them. But the challenge at the time was, again, concern of insecurity, sustainability, policy somersaults, and what have you. But that was 21 years ago. But let's come back to Edo State now. There is a plan to establish a 10,000 barrels per day condensate refinery in the States.
Yes.
And this is in collaboration with the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. One would say, on the surface, a laudable initiative. My question is this something that is a standalone, if you like, project, or is it complementary to the refinery we understand the predecessor to Governor Monday Okpebholo had established before leaving office?
No, the predecessor to Monday Okpebholo, Governor Monday Okpebholo, which is former Governor Godwin Obaseki, right, never established a refinery. Yeah, he actually, he was, from what we have made to know today, a refinery that does not bear Edo State stakeholder interest. Edo State is not a stakeholder in that refinery that's in Ologbo, and that refinery is not operational today, and our money was sunk.
Has it ever been operational?
It has never been operational, and our money was sunk there, even when in the structure, ownership structure, Edo State is not part of it. So it's a different thing. This is NNPC and Edo State government coming in partnership for a 10,000 barrel per day condensate refinery,
right,
to be situated between the boundary between Oredo and Uremon local government. And within the next 24 to 36 months, that is the plan for the operation to come on stream.
Right.
And the Edo State government, from the arrangement, it's a direct partnership. Edo State government is talking of providing the land as equity, providing security, access roads, going to tie the road and convert all this in Naira and Kobo to equity, stakeholding, while NNPC will bring the necessary expertise, the machines and all. And Edo State government will also provide security and every other necessary thing they need to make it work. It's a pure collaboration, just like with the Zeta assembly plants that is already operational. It's the same thing. That is what we are. That is the difference between this administration of Governor Mondo Pewolo and the former. The former will tell you it's a wholly owned private sector driven initiative. And yet we use Edo State will provide land, provide everything without Edo State having stake in it. Even commit some funds without Edo State having stake in it. And on the long run, those private people will convert the land to whatever they want to use it for, collect the funding, and the thing become moribund. That is the sincerity of purpose. That is the difference. And that is one of the good, smart onions of leadership. It's not what you talk, it's what you conceive and do.
Okay, I think Juma is stepping in.
For me, I want to look at how realistic is the goal of reducing dependence when it comes to federal allocation in this present economic climate.
Even the federal government is trying to reduce dependence on a particular source of revenue for the nation. Because Nigeria is operating a luggage economy. It's resource-based. Our source of revenue is mainly resource-based. And this is one of the reasons why the federal government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is driving a lot of critical reforms, especially the fiscal reform and the tax reform and all that, opening up the respective sector. There are other sectors that are bringing money, the ICT, the mining, processing, the agriculture and all that. So the same thing goes with the states. No state today, at the time, Edo State was doing 80% of the revenue of the state was coming from FAC. Today we're talking of maybe around 60-40. You understand? If we get to a point when the IGRO compared to FAC will be 50-50. In Lagos today, what they collect as IGRO is almost equal or more than the FAC they collect. Because there are a lot of stratified economy activities happen there. You understand? That is the same thing every other state should be thinking. You have to do what is called cooperative advantage of your state. What is your state known for?
Right.
Economically, in resources, in whatever, in ideas, what is peculiar to your state, then build that as a policy blueprint. Build the political flesh around it, drive policies around it, and let people come and invest in those ideas in your state. And you earn more money. You create jobs for the economy, the local economy. For example, create IGRO in taxes for yourself. And if you directly invest, also get dividend for the states. You understand? It's obvious now. States that are serious can do business. We saw the Ibon Air. We saw the Enugu. We saw how Edo State is keen into that now, the Edo Air. We saw how they told us Edo line was never going to work. It was moribund for more than 12 years. Today it's been revived. 1 year running, new Edo line is working with investment. And very soon after breaking even, they'll start taking care of themselves. A lot is possible when you have leadership sincerity and focus. So most of the states, I think that is what they should be thinking, because Nigeria, we have a depleting asset in oil, crude oil.
Right.
Yeah, we are not going to be enjoying this largesse of oil revenue forever. So the earlier we begin to think innovatively, the better for every state government, because we are operating a federation. No state is going to wait for the other state to grow and to be at par with it. You understand? So today people talk of Lagos, Lagos, Lagos. If what Abia State governor is doing is sustained, if what Soludo is doing is sustained, if what Edo State governor is doing is sustained, what Akwa Ibom State governor is doing is sustained, Niger State governor is investing massively in agriculture, then the drift of people from these states going to Lagos will reduce.
Right.
And the problem of urbanization will also reduce in Lagos. The urban slum in Lagos will also, the crisis of urban slum will be tamed too. People will now be concentrating in their region and in their state to develop their states. So we don't have any choice than to wake up. You know, if you cannot run, you creep, but you must be in motion.
By all means.
By all means.
But I want to ask a question, though, aside Edo State, because I know that's where more emphasis are because of the topic today. But looking at other states now, do you think they're doing enough to attract both local and foreign investors?
Most of the states are not actually doing enough. I must admit to that. Most of them, and especially those in the core north. You know, I just came back from North Central, you know, and also from Northwest, because of they can be excused for now for the insecurity
right.
situation that is going on there.
Yes.
But amidst all this comes the level of playing politics with the insecurity. You read the report of the Congress, U.S. Congress. Where those people, one of the Congress persons said the Chinese or some foreigners sponsored
bandits to provide protection for them.
For them to get away with the resources, the gold in some of these states, like Zamfara, Kebbi, and all that.
But the authenticity or otherwise of that report has also been the debate.
Yeah, it's been even before that report. It's been a rumor. It's been rumored.
Speculation.
It's speculated, in the Nigerian media space or even on social media. But the question is, the political leadership in these states, are they also taking advantage? You can't have such valuable resources in your state and you're not taking advantage of it. We have solid minerals in Edo State. I can tell you over the years, the viability of the limestone industry, mining, processing in Edo North has led to the investment from the two biggest cement producers in Nigeria today. They are building factories in Edo State. Another about 2.5 to 3 million capacity tons of cement is actually being constructed in Akoko Edo right now, apart from the one in Okbela, in Egbetua community in Ososo Kingdom, in Akoko Edo. These are all massive investments. If the state was not good, if the government was not driving policies to improve on security, opening up the roads and all that, do you think these big investors should be coming to invest there? So the states should begin to concentrate in driving their primary responsibility of social infrastructural provision. That is the biggest catalyst of development anywhere in the world. Infrastructural development. No matter how sound your policies are, when there are poor infrastructure, you will be signing MOUs up and down without realistic outcome of such MOUs.
And talking about being realistic for a second, now we're talking 10,000 barrel per day condensate initiative. One would have thought, hold on a second, is that those states not derailing? Should a state like that not be more focused on things like agriculture? Investing, a chunk of its resources in education and health instead of going the way of oil.
But everything is going on well. I just explained to you how massively the state government has invested in agriculture and opened up the agriculture.
But the government is not done in those areas.
The government is a continuous process. You know, as we speak now, we started with 3 major mega farms. Today we are adding 2 to it, one in Epoma and the other one in Agbade Warake farm is going on. As we speak, by Monday, there will be commissioning of more than 54 tractors, dozers, and low bed to be shared across the 18 local government for the local government chairman to go and be opening up the rural areas. No more excuse of I cannot tie road. No more excuse of I don't have the tractors, the contractor. You don't need the Julius Berger to open up your rural area in your local government. Now the government, the state government is bringing the equipment to your local government. So all you need to do, you have the Directorate of Works in your local government. The Director of Works now have to bring in its expertise to utilize this equipment. This is all opening up the system. And if you go back to, you're talking about if it's not misplaced, it's never misplaced to have a refinery that will be churning out 20 trucks of condensate PMS every day and 10 trucks of diesel. AGO, and 10 trucks of diesel daily. Do you know what that means? If Edo State is having 20 trucks of refined product in the states without going to Lagos, it will save them a lot of cost. Without importing, it will save them FS and also creating jobs for the states, for EDGs and citizens of the state. And don't forget, Edo State is also an oil producing state. Right. You can't have your resources and not being able to drive initiative that will translate the resources to finished goods.
But I have a question. Looking at all of these things, which is for national development and, of course, the benefits for the people of Edo State and, of course, for Edo State, sustainability, visions. Individuals have different visions when it comes to continuing from where your predecessors stopped and all of that. Do you think this is sustainable?
Of course, we're talking of vision for the state, not vision for yourself.
But people have different visions.
You have vision for the states. You may have vision for yourself, but you have vision of where you want the state to be. You are only in government for 8 years to drive your mission statement. That's why I said a vision without a mission is a mirage. You build your team to take the state to the vision where you want it to be. Another person, because we have a collective vision. Eradication of poverty is a vision of any sane government. Provision of infrastructure is a vision of any state government. The economic prosperity of the state is a vision of any state government. The list goes on and on. So when you come in as a leader, that vision remains the same. All you need to do, the approach you give will determine how you actualize that vision. And the next person after you does not have any choice. That's why I say any sane leadership will sustain the vision. No sane leader will truncate prosperity.
But what if, for all of these things, of course we know they are very important.
We only remodeled. Because when your vision, the mission to drive your mission, is built on insincerity, is built on corruption, is built on profligacy, is built on selfish interest, then the acceleration and the actualization of such vision will be delayed. So when another government come, for example in Edo State, we've come to realize, did we cancel the Radisson Blue Hotel? No. But we realize that Edo is being shortchanged. That is not the vision. The vision is for the shared prosperity of Edo people. What did the state government did? Review, investigated, because they are paying the debt of the 25 billion that was collected from the stock capital market to fund the hotel, that you are now shortchanging the state and giving them. So we rearrange and said, okay, let's restructure the ownership based on facts, on equity.
What I'm saying is, sorry to interject, what if someone sees another vision and says, okay, let me focus more on agriculture? That's where I see the vision there, not in oil or any other.
The vision has to be collective. You have Ministry of Agriculture, you have Ministry of Works, you have Ministry of Economic Development, you have Ministry of Trade and Commerce, but they all meet at a point. There must be a congruence. It's like a universal set. The intersection is the collective, is the interest of the states. Can you be driving agriculture when you have potential for agriculture, you have potential for oil, and you say you want to leave oil alone?
Like I said, people
what drive economic development? No. What drive economic growth? Have we not been growing over the years? Nigeria has had constant growth, except the past few years we have a 1 or 2 recession. No government that has come to Nigeria that have not admitted or agreed that they have grown. GDP is growing from this to this. You keep hearing it. Why are you not developed? Why are they not calling you a developed nation? Because you've not been able to turn the fortunes. Because your GDP is growing from the fortunes from crude oil alone. You've not been able to turn the growth across other sectors. When other sectors are not growing, they now strike an optimum. That's economic development. For example, I'm an auditor. What I make from being an external auditor and tax consultant, I use it to invest as an entrepreneur. When I'm growing as an auditor from all I earn, that is growth. When I'm now investing as an entrepreneur, I'm now doing other things, multiple stream, and those ones they are growing gradually in their respective. The accumulated growth across this, then that means I'm developing. Dangote has been growing in one sector for many years. Then he entered food and processing. Then he entered textile. Then he entered Idomi, whatever. Now it's in oil and gas. So that is the evolution we are talking about. So whether a state government, no state government can come and say, my focus is on agriculture. Your focus will be on agriculture. Your focus has to also be on infrastructure. Because whatever you are producing in the farm cannot be taken to the market if there are no good markets. It cannot be taken to the market if there are no good roads to bring the farm produce. They will be losing in agriculture value chain, the gains. So it's not a single sector growth that drives development of the states. At least you must have 3 to 4 sectoral growth that are growing at the same time. Then you're not talking of that state is developing. Look at the maritime sector in Lagos. When you check it, you check about the commerce, the education sector, the railway, the transportation system, from BRT to rail. Imagine growth across this respective sector coming together or being meshed together on the long run. You will now say, truly, Lagos is the 5th largest city economy-wise by GDP in Africa.
Let's talk about, I mean, you have made almost non-stop reference to infrastructure, and we can't talk about infrastructure in the real sense of it and not mention roads, for example. There are people who say that these governments should be scored low when it comes to fixing roads and all of that, especially last year when we had so much of rains in the state. Of course, Edo State is prominent for whatever reason for enjoying a lot of rains, and that again has some sort of a backlash impact when you realize that roads are messed up, and sometimes people can't even move from city center to extremes like Ugbo, Sapele Road, and what have you. Is the state government also paying attention to all of that? Because some people think that this idea of a refinery, regardless of what the capacity is an elitist thinking. It's not something that trickles down to the regular people.
You see, one of the provisions in the partnership
for this refinery.
That is going to be part of the equity of the stakeholding of the states is provision of infrastructure.
Including access roads.
Including access road. If roads were not important or important factor to consider, do you build a refinery that in a place that is not accessible by road? Today, Edo State is a huge construction site. There's no local government. There's no senatorial districts that you don't have more than 4 roads or 5 that are ongoing in Edo State. I'm not talking of the Benin City, which is unprecedented. As we speak, Airport Road, Oko-Ogba is ongoing. Ewotubu Road was abandoned for more than 12 years. The latest video showed the happiness and the joy in the face of people.
And your party shares in that blame, the APC, I'm sure.
We are talking of, it's being done.
Now, we're talking about being abandoned, like you
That's what I'm saying.
to. Yes.
For 12 years, but it's been fixed by Governor Monday Okpebholo. More than 275 kilometers of road across Edo State that are going on simultaneously, not one after the other. Yesterday, we imagine linking Temboga to Ugbowo. You understand Benin very well. That means from Ikpobayi, from Ikpoba Slope, you are taking it to Ugbowo. You are taking from Ikpoba to Ovia without going through the major federal roads that you naturally say Uselu Lagos road.
So you're skipping Ego altogether.
You know, trying to open up. Imagine the impact of the economic impact of such massive infrastructure drive in that area. Is it the Ekenwa road that is ongoing, that was abandoned for 8 years? Is it the Lagos, Benin Sapele road? You see the massive, you see the Ogege community people have to come to thank the governor for coming to their rescue. Over 8 years, they've been in pains. We cannot, it's like we are actually not admitted to the fact that when it comes to road infrastructure, a lot is different in Edo State. For the past, we are talking of 1 year and 2 months in government. The flyover, the longest flyover in Nigeria is almost 90% completion as we speak in Rama Park. I remember it's doing 2. Another one is all going in Adesuwa Junction. And as we speak, just this week, is going into arrangement with a new contractor for the entire GROA to be well replanned because of the massive erosion, because most of the roads in GROA are tied, but the drainage system is very poor.
And that's massive.
Proper reconstruction of the entire GRA when it comes to road network.
As we begin to wrap up, I think Juma has the last question.
No, I want to talk about the citizens now. How can citizens actually understand that, for instance, this is an economic frontier and not mere policy announcements?
We have gone past policy announcements. The citizens are seeing it that it's not mere policy announcement but policy implementation. Anywhere the governor goes to inspect road projects, you see crowd of people. Anywhere where there is gully erosion, he does not just stop the gully erosion, he converts it to roads. Instead of putting gutter there to control, it take the gutter somewhere, channel it to the Oba River and convert it to road. Imagine the people living in that area, how they feel whenever it goes there. You watch it on your station, you see how happy they are. That is policy, beyond policy announcements. Governor Monday Okpebholo does not announce. He talk less and he do more. The more than 54 tractors, tractors, low bed and equipment that is sharing across 80 local government that FCT minister is coming to commission on Monday. Do you think his announcement? It's physical. It's not a challenge on the citizenry in those local governments to question the utilization of such equipment by the local government chairman. It's not their responsibility to ask questions. If you now ask the local government, why are you not tying this street? Why are you not at least opening up a particular street? Don't say you have the tractors and everything, the equipment. You understand?
Well, I'm afraid that this is the much time we'll allow us to take. But you have done an amazing work, Haruna, by helping us to highlight areas where states are failing, then a handful of states that are actually pushing the frontiers economically. And then, of course, you also made mention of certain projects, very crucial, critical, that those state governments in particular, especially, would like to say, thank you for your time and expertise on this discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, great. So that's what we're leaving it, everyone. Today it's been a stretch of 2.5 hours here on Global Morning. Remember that the views of our guests are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agumofwebe.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you once again, Haruna Ibrahimov, for being a part of the program.
Thank you, sir.
Have an amazing day ahead. From Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.